think the most pressing question that I want to ask today is directly to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Ma'am, Fani, where's the RICO? Is the RICO in the room with us? Because I'm not seeing it. And I don't know that a lot of other people are either. And I think there's probably a whole lot of taxpayers that are wondering why you would bring this circus of a RICO trial to town if you couldn't prove RICO. Now, for the rest of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, of course, doing an update on this YSL Young Thug trial that's taking place down here in Fulton County. Now, Young Thug, it's no longer the Young Thug trial because he took a plea a few weeks ago, but it started very massive. So as a refresher, I think there were originally 27 or 28 defendants. There was a 56 count RICO indictment. RICO in Georgia is a little bit different than RICO in Georgia is a lot different than it is anyplace else, but it carries an automatic 5 to 20. So a bunch of people took pleas. We were down to Young Thug and 5 co-defendants, and among them were some other rappers. And what they were accused of was being this organized, very violent street gang, right? And that they were committing all sorts of crimes. It took 10 months just to find a jury. The trial went on, I think it was for 166 days, there and about. Meanwhile, all of these men were in jail. They were denied bail again and again and again. And they were kept in jail the entire time. There was 175 witnesses. Like, this is a record trial. And I'm left here today. Closing arguments happened yesterday. And a lot of us are sitting here today wondering, what the fuck was it all worth? Like, what did we prove? There's only 2 defendants left. One is Diamante Kendrick. He goes by the rap name Yak Gotti, and he's defended by Doug Weinstein. And then there's Shannon Stillwell, who also I think goes by Shannon Jackson or SB. He's defended by Max Shard. And both of these attorneys have done a bang-up job. Kendrick was facing charges of conspiracy to commit RICO and an unaliving. Shannon Stillwell was also accused of the conspiracy to commit RICO, but also I think 2 unalivings, and then some firearm charges, right? Possession of firearms while being a convicted felon, using the firearm and committing a felony, like just a number of things. I said from the beginning, if you could prove these other crimes, because many of them are felonies, if you can prove the gun possessions, the drugs possessions, if you can prove all of that, then why not just do that? Why throw the RICO on top? And it's like these district attorneys here in Georgia, they want it as a badge of honor. They would rather, and it shows in some of the plea deals, that they would rather get somebody on RICO than schmurder. And if I'm the family of the victim who was schmurdered, I'd be like, why the fuck are you bringing him on RICO? I want him charged with schmurder. But that's not what the plea deals were. And it baffles me. Let's get back to these 2 defense attorneys, because like I said, they did a bang-up job. In their closing arguments yesterday, both Max Shard and Doug Weinstein, they talked to the jury about all the different things you should know about these guys. And if you hear noise in the background, it's because they're mowing the yard. These 2 defense attorneys got up there and they said, it's not a street gang. It's just a group of guys who like to hang out together, and there's nothing wrong with that. And part of the reason that they all sort of, I guess maybe glommed on to Young Thug is because he was successful. He was someone who came from a really tough background, and he made something of himself, that he went on to be rich and successful, and they sort of, I guess, maybe envied that and wanted to be around that, hoping that that could happen to them too, right? It's wanting to breathe the air of somebody who made it, and you're inspired by that. I think of the TV show Entourage, where they had the one guy, Vinny, who made it as an actor, and then all of his buddies went with him to LA, and they all hung out together because they loved being in his circle. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make them a violent street gang. That just makes them a bunch of dude bros who want to hang out together. They criticized the police and their gang unit. Fulton County has a gang unit. And I said in an earlier video, they have this like kind of a mug book or whatever you want to call it. It's this binder this thick full of names and pictures of people that they think are gang members. Now, their expertise comes from them basically just deciding that they're experts in gangs. Maybe 1 or 2 of them came from a bad background, and so they think that they understand the streets better and the gang life better. And then they teach each other, right? There's no formal training, I don't think, to be a gang expert, but they consider themselves gang experts because they think they get gangs. The defense attorneys attacked that yesterday. And when we're talking about unaliving charges, like if you're going to charge somebody with murder, shouldn't you have some evidence? Like, there's no physical evidence, right? They don't have fingerprints, they don't have, gunshot residue, they don't have all the stuff that they need to prove that you unalived somebody. There's no physical evidence. But they also attacked the song lyric thing. Like, this was the worst thing that the prosecution did, was they said that the song lyrics are an admission of guilt. And I said this in an earlier video. please, somebody show me the court documents where that lovely country music trio, the Chicks, were brought up on charges for killing Earl. Just because you sing about it doesn't mean you're doing it. And I come from the school of thought that lyrics is artistry. Like, this is their outlet. And I would so much rather have them singing about it than going out and doing it. So this tried to convolute the two and say they singing about it, which means they did it. And as a side note, if you're going to say lyrics mean you're guilty of something, well, our friend Lil Woody has a song about unaliving. So if you really thought that lyrics meant confessions, then why the fuck did you give him immunity? Like, that buries your case right there. And after 166 days of this jury sitting there, I thought both of the defense attorneys did a nice job of closing the loop and explaining, like, unless you can prove it, the burden is on the state to prove these things, and we don't think they proved it. But then DA Hilton gets up there, and she might still be talking for all we know, because she was going on for hours and hours and hours. And if you can see in the video, I understand that this is emotional. She's put in a lot of time and energy to this. But there's a point where she's like raising her voice to the jury as if she can say, like, don't you see it? Don't you get it? And I gotta tell you, again, I'm just an old white lady from the suburbs. But if I was sitting in that jury, I'd be like, I know you're not raising your voice at me. I've been sitting here for 166 days. It's your fault you couldn't prove anything. Screaming at me on the last day doesn't do you any good. So now the jury is deliberating. There's some say that they will be out for weeks. I disagree. I think they've heard enough. I think that they might come back with some smaller charges. I don't think they'll be found guilty of RICO, and I don't know that they'll even be found guilty of the unalivings. I think Shannon Stillwell might get charged with the firearm possessions or something smaller, but I honestly think this thing might be wrapped up by the end of the week. Let's find out.